All right, so I haven't been putting videos out for a while because of multiple reasons. Busy. I mean, I have a day job. I'm salary, so that means they own me. Um, I'm a workaholic, so it's not really their fault. But I put in more than 40 hours a week for sure every week, no matter what. My own fault. I haven't had any actual like paid gigs or even volunteer gigs recently. I have a family. Got to spend time with them. Did I say gotta or want to? I do want to. Um, I'm trying to get my businesses going, Grip Gyver and Angel View Video. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on. Um, and also I kind of went deep into 3D printing for quite a while there. Uh, but bottom line, I'm going to really reduce my workflow. Kind of another reason I haven't been put out much is because it's very rare for me to be able to get 10, 15, 20 minutes to record myself without being interrupted. This is the sixth time I've tried to record today. So I'm fresh off of a 2-day shoot for an episodic. I was Gaffer. And it was independent, so everybody was basically swing. But I mean, primary role was Gaffer. It was a pretty big crew. It was nice. And a lot of people actually had some good experience. Some didn't, like grips that were working with me. But this is pretty much all new people not working together. I hadn't worked with anybody before, so I'm figuring out how best to communicate with everybody, including the DP, camera department. Went pretty well though. The first day was one location. It was kind of small. So, and with a large crew, it was sometimes challenging. So day one was at the small location. Primarily one setup, one room anyway. We did have to flip it and turn it, for the reverse shots and stuff. The good news was we did have multiple cameras on the first day, including Steadicam. It was cool. We were shooting on reds. So that was cool. But anyway, the main setup was a booklight. Because it was so small, I did the one C-stand booklight kind of thing. Our diffusion that I used was 8x8, and it was, I think, a Matthews 1 1/4 diffusion. I really like it. Good quality, etc. I used my 720 into a ultra bounce, so my 720 was bouncing into that and then diffusing into the 8x8. Basically, the behind us was a garage door, and it had 4 windows. Outside, we had a 1200X shooting through. We wanted to use haze, but the room's airflow was such that trying to keep it consistent throughout the day would have been quite a challenge. So we 86'd the haze fairly early. I really should have diffused those windows. Not diffused, ND'd them, knocked down at least a stop or two, because the 720, like I don't know what aperture he was at, but obviously you're probably you're gonna exposed for the window, and it was kind of a bright day, and we're shooting a 1200 through the window, so it's a lot of light to make up for. So I was exposing for that, and I really should have ND'd those windows. I just didn't. I don't know why. It didn't cross my mind. No, I know my main concern was dealing with the two grips that I had. Neither of them really knew too much, and they really needed a lot of hand holding, which was fine. That's fine. But that's where my focus was instead of kind of gaffing. I was more key grip kind of thing instead of just gaff. Things went well. Got some stuff. I actually got a little tiny bit of behind the scenes stuff on the first day. I posted that already. Day 2, we started out with the delay. Number one, I was trying to get there early. First of all, they pushed the call time back from 6 to 7, but I still wanted to get there at 6 because the night before I didn't get home until like 1 or something like that. And after I got out of the shower, I was just so I didn't put any the walkies back on the charger. I didn't do any of that. So I just wanted to get there early and set up a charging station, yada yada. Well, we got there and we had a bit of another delay. There was a medical emergency for not any of us, but the owner of the location's father had a medical emergency. So his manager of the place was down the Wildwood, New Jersey for the day. But she was contacted and she came back, and that was like an hour and a half or so. It's about an hour and a half. So we went to a nearby diner, had to wait for that to open. It opened, we had breakfast and discussed plans for the day. Bottom line, we knew that time was short. We lost an hour and a half at least, in addition to the hour that they pushed back. It was one location. There was an exterior, 1, 2, 3, about 5 room setups inside, not including, flipping the room for the reverse shots and stuff. We only had the one camera on day 2. No, actually, we did have a second camera, but we didn't use it often because of the lighting. We didn't want to complicate lighting any more than it already was. So anyway, we finally get in. We're going to shoot the exterior first, and you got to establish it, so you got to have a wide. Well, fortunately, here I'm thinking, oh, this is great. It's a mostly overcast day. There's a couple of holes in the clouds so that the sun peeks out every couple of seconds. Well, not every couple of seconds, but every so often. It'll stay out for like a minute or two and then tucks back in. But in such a case, it's so much more efficient just to use the diffused sun. If you need to bring in some negative fill to create some contrast, then so be it. But other than that, you probably don't need to do anything, at least for what we were working on. Anyway, in talking to the DP, he wanted the wide to be even more diffused. And I'm like, this is where I had a communication issue between him and I. I didn't understand quite what he was saying, because the biggest source I've ever seen is an overcast sky. And that's how you get your soft light. but he asked me, what's my biggest diffusion, and ultimately I had on the trailer ring, I have two 10-foot by 20-foot bleached muslin cloths. I'm going to have them, a seamstress kind of sew them together and put some grommet holes and yada yada and make a frame out of, or a 20 by 20 rag out of it. I have two frame kits that are essentially, it's 4 foot by 5 foot. Weird, but they're great. Strong, quick setup, easy to Hollywood, just manually hold. And so I suggested to the DP, I'm like, how about we just Hollywood those frames on the actors and, whatnot. And he's like, yeah, but for the wide, I really want it more diffused. So, I don't know. Long story short, I thought maybe he knew something I didn't. Honestly, it came down to confidence. I was like, maybe he knows something I don't know. So I got the two grips, got a couple of combo stands out, some speed rail, 10-foot sections of speed rail. I was going to have them put up between the two combo stands, vertical poles, the speed rail, and just, clip it on there. It's like spring clamp, so that if the wind kicked up, maybe the cloth would come undone, not anything else. But anyway, I told them, tie it off here, tie it off there, use this instead of rope to wind around the base of the combo and the speed rail. So because the wire that I had, I gave them for that, just to make sure that the speed rail wouldn't tip, would stay vertical. Use all my sandbags, whatever. Anyway, it was taking forever. Anything I had asked for them to do took a lot of time. And that's normal, because no experience, things take longer. But it was getting to the point where it was very, very frustrating. At one point, we realized we'd started setting it up too far back. We needed to walk it in. So, I say, okay, let's walk it in, and I show you exactly where, I would use multiple terms. So if I say walk it in, I think, okay, well, maybe he doesn't know what that means. So in other words, I would say, in other words, that combo there, that stand should come, needs to be brought over here, instead of saying, well, I did say walk it in, but I'd say it multiple ways. And I put like a pebble on for the one stand where it should be, and this and that and the other thing. I go away, try to set up the next scene, because I know we had, like 5 different scenes to set up. Given the location scout, I figured I had enough fixtures to light 3 scenes at a time, so that, we go nice and quick. So I come back and things are not, I didn't see any progress whatsoever. The one stand was moved about a foot instead of the 5 feet that I had said, and the sandbags were back on it. So it was not like, I don't know what was going on. Anyway, I also noticed when I come back that the wind had shifted. It wasn't constant direction. So now I'm like starting to get worried, because I really didn't have enough rope to tie this thing properly, especially because the location, each tie line was going to have to be about 90 feet, 80 feet, 90 feet, that's a long distance. So I'm starting to get worried. So I talked to the assistant director who happened to be walking by, and I told him, well, the plan was to do this, but here's the thing: overcast sky. But we're not gonna. I mean, so number one, we're not gonna get it any more diffused than it already is. Number two, it's a liability issue. Number three, it's taking way too long. We already lost an hour and a half trying to set that up. Two of my guys, plus a little bit of my time. Well, my guys. So he agreed. He talked to DP. He was cool with it. All good. So I had them take down enough so that it wasn't a liability anywhere. And then I gave them the frame, and I gave them like a 4x4 floppy that they could use for neg if they needed it. I was hoping that they would. I didn't see what they shot out there because I was off setting up other scenes. Anyway, so that was cool. But while they were doing that, I pretty much had the whole next scene set up and was starting to work on the other things. I had to set up a Dana dolly in the back room. Like there was a little bit confusion in terms of order, and some things change on the fly. It's just how it goes. So I was trying to set up, in order that we were going to be shooting in. And there was a back room. There was a very large room. There was construction going on in it, but that's where the scene was supposed to be. The Dana dolly back there, lots of depth for the shot, but I didn't know where the camera was going to be. I didn't know any blocking, anything. So I was just trying to get fixtures in there, powered, so that once we got in there, they could tell me the blocking, we could move around and adjust, etc. Also, in that room, I couldn't find, for the life of me, I couldn't find how to turn off the house lights. It was ticking me off. And there was no good, easy way to flag them out or anything. I was going to grab a ladder and start unscrewing bulbs, but I didn't know blocking, so I didn't know if they would even be in the shot. If they were not in the shot, I could just put up a neg in front of it or whatever, not have to worry about all that extra work. But once we were shooting that first scene, I would tell the grips, go set this up, go grab these things off of the trailer truck. And unfortunately, they're not familiar with my gear, so telling someone to go get such and such off the trailer, you have to be very, very specific. Anyway, back to the first interior scene where we're shooting. I was trying to put the grips to work, and we were using haze in this first scene. So I was kind of manning it because I had tried asking for help from the grip to kind of manage the haze and keep it consistent. Especially, this is an exterior door too. It was interior, but there was a garage door. There was a door people coming in and out. The airflow was such that the haze would dissipate, not as fast as the day before, but it'd dissipate for a little bit. And the whole thing was supposed to be a dark scene where they're creeping in with their flashlights and stuff. So you want the haze to show and be fairly consistent between takes. So I was kind of there doing that, plus helping with like a little bit of a bounce for fill here and there. So nothing was getting done while that was being shot. Frustrating. I would see moments where I could sneak away and go do something or other for the next scene that was being shot, but at least, get the stuff out there so that I could have the grips start to set them up. I really need to find help that can be available and I can show my stuff to. I want them to be familiar with my stuff. So another thing I learned, like the back room there, I should have just taken the initiative. I didn't think of it right away. I knew what I was wanting to do. I wanted to do the whole checkerboard thing, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, and pockets. And, I really wanted to craft that scene. But not knowing the blocking until very late, I had no idea if I even could. I kind of figured the DP would want to take advantage of the long length of the room, but and the story wasn't such that it should be a small room. So whatever. But I should have brought a gobo out with, or a light out with a gobo and throw some diffused light patterns out. I mean, I did grab some stuff that was lying around, and I even grabbed one of the pizza boxes from Crafty, and used my knife to make my own little cucaloris, just to throw a little bit of, break up the light a little bit, throw some texture down. But I don't know why I didn't just go grab the projector. If I had a grip or somebody that knew my gear, I'd say, go get this, and it would have been a lot better. But either way, I think it looked okay. Could have been better. All right. So anyway, the big takeaway is, number one, confidence, communication. Learn to communicate with people you don't know. You got to allow extra time for that. Just how it goes. If they don't know your gear, but they're working with you, keep that in mind. Maybe pull the gear and say, set this up in that room. You know what I mean? I did do that eventually. Like after a little bit in the first day, I realized, okay, they don't know what a cardellini is. And even after telling them, they didn't remember a few times. It takes time, whatever. So, learning points, confidence, stick to your guns, and specifically with that diffuse the overcast exterior shot. I should have had more conversation and I should have said, hey, I'm not quite understanding. Is there something that you're going for that is more than just, diffused light? I should have had that conversation. Number two was, communication. Just anytime you work with somebody new, you got to figure out how to best work with them, how to best communicate with them. Number three, and I kind of know that anyway, I've been around for a while, it's not just this business. The third thing was, I should have taken an extra minute and gone and grabbed my a projector or two, because the room was large enough. We had like 6 fixtures in there, just lighting the background, for fill and trying to get that checkerboard thing happening with light dark, and just make sense. But I wish I had grabbed a projector or two and a couple of gobos and break up the pattern, at least on the one wall, and maybe even on like one other spot. Would have been really cool. A couple of things that really worked out well. My new grip cart was pretty decent. It could have been better. The sandbag cart, we took that off too, so that gave us close by sandbags for stuff. That was nice. And also I had like an apple box family in there, I think, in the sandbag cart. So that was nice. Another thing that worked out real good, primarily for the second day, was I had taken some time and rigged up my practical kit, because I have like I don't have any of them around. They're all in the kit now. I have all these like little battery powered lights, sort of a MC, like Aperture MC Pro like lights, but the little ones with batteries. I have different form factors and stuff. I've got a pair of them that are the 40-watt ones. I got a new Aperture 25C. But I mean, I have probably 30 of these things. And then I have 4 Aperture MT Pros. So like essentially they're pixel 1-foot tubes, Well, I spent some time and I rigged that up so that you plug in the case and everything charges all at once. So as long as you plug it into the case, once you put it back, then everything's good. That's only the first version. I'm going to redo it so it's even better, but I'll put a video out on that. I got some other upcoming videos. Well, actually, I have a couple of gigs going this Saturday. My partner's in a band, and his band is playing in a music fest. He doesn't have, despite the fact that he does filmmaking, he does not have any good footage of his band because he's in it. So I'm going to the festival and shooting some footage for him. I'll have my Sony, bringing the drone. We're going to get some GoPros. I'll bring my 360. Just trying to get, we're not really doing anything specific with it yet, but I'm going to film it in a way as though I was going to do an event video on the festival. So that should get full coverage. Anyway, so that's this Saturday. I'm talking to a guy, I think he's finishing up film school. He has a really cool idea, and it's for a short that he wants to do, the festival route. But it involves a lot of compositing and special effects. And I love doing that. Those are the only real gigs that I have coming up that I know of. I do have some other videos I'm going to be putting out. Like I said, I mentioned the grip cart, creation of my grip cart. I am actually making a C-stand cart, but that's going to involve welding. I still haven't found all the parts I need for that just yet. I'm going to put out a video on how to quickly black out windows, a video on dealing with cheap sandbags, and how I do it anyway, because I learned the hard way. Put a video out on my practical kit. And then, of course, I've got I got more videos that I can put out on the 3D printing stuff that I've done for filmmaking and stuff. So I got all that coming. But for now, like I said, I gotta chop this down because I talked a lot. I talked way too long. And no more. It's just going to be raw jump cuts. It is what it is. Really, at this point in time, this channel is just for me and kind of documenting my process of, after 25 years of being a computer programmer, getting back into filmmaking. So anyway, if I can find more time to record, maybe I can get more up. Anyway, that's it. ABC.